Welcome back to another Beyond the Sanctum episode, guys. Today's episode, we're going to be showcasing a behind-the-scenes look at one of our upcoming episodes for the Antorus Raid Boss video. Today's behind-the-scenes showcases one of the steps in our production schedule called the Director's Call. And basically, the Director's Call is a call between Jeff and I, where we go through the script and talk about the screen directions that I've written, shoot ideas back and forth, and kind of narrow in and lock down the visuals that we're using for the upcoming episode. We talk about transitions, what models, ideas that come in, special effects, and all that sorts of stuff. The reason we use a director's call is to narrow and reduce the amount of miscommunication that we may have between the modes of contact that we have. So between the messenger that we use on a day-to-day basis and the Google Docs director's commentary, some comments and some directions kind of get lost in translation there. So we use the director's call to kind of flush everything out and get a real idea on what I'm envisioning, what he's envisioning, and what ends up being the final product. The reason we recorded it is so we can give you guys a little behind the scenes look at how we do this and sort of the steps that we take to decide on what goes into each shot and the decisions that we make for that. Just as a little warning, the video footage that you're going to see and the audio you're going to hear are going to be different and they're not exactly going to add up. The reason for this is during the call, nothing exciting happened visually on screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the audio from the call and match it up to the actual footage of Jeff recording the steps and the shot preparations that happened after the call. So it's not exactly going to add up. It's going to kind of be a little bit displaced and not everything will look as we're talking about it. Think of it like a director's commentary on a Blu-ray or DVD. It's just him and I going back and forth, so you can listen to this episode as you do other stuff, or you can watch the full thing and kind of see what we're doing, but also listen to us in the background. Just fair warning. We did talk on Discord, and my microphone does cut out every now and then, so apologies in advance for that. We are trying to provide as much behind-the-scenes look so we can kind of tie you guys over, but also give you the sort of inside look at how we do things during the process and try to give you some different examples with each episode. Without any more delay, please enjoy the director's call for the Antorus episode. Enjoy.
So I've basically got ripped the intro from our Eridar videos, because that takes place inside of the Vindicar, and that's basically from where you start the whole invasion of Antorus as well. So I figured might as well use it. And from there on out, it's basically a holocore episode, and which means for me that it basically all takes place in one giant After Effects composition. So from start to finish, it's like one entire shot where various things pop in and pop out. Instead of like with the normal episodes where I go to like a single shot, it's a single page. Once the page flips, that shot is over. This is one giant long shot. Even now, as hundreds of Legion ships bear down upon Azeroth, their operations here on Argus have been disrupted and our opportune moment has come. Hundreds of Legion ships, he said. I'm not going to put hundreds of Legion ships in actually, because basically what I've come up with so far, it's the shot of Azeroth as seen from Argus, and these are actually like the ship models Legion uses, only they're 3D models, and I exported them from the model viewer so I can move these around. And I haven't like finalized this shot yet, but I have already added a couple of lens flares to like symbolize the engines running on the things. And for the closer ships, I've added a sort of engine glow, which by the time I'm done with it should also be animated. So the last little line is, as the High Exarch and the Prophet prepare the vessel for the final assault, the keepers of the last Codex, blah blah blah, which, as the shot detail, asks for cinematic shots of the Vindicar Gold version with Tyrellian and Velen shot flickering in on either side. Here we have a cinematic of Vindicar transforming into golden glory. Finishing that shot, I'm going to pop in the Prophet Velen on the left, and his best buddy Terrellion on the right. Velen himself is kind of awkward in the model viewer because if I... yeah, his eyes actually don't appear, so it's like see-through. So what I usually do to fix that is I actually cut out his eyes, as gruesome as that sounds, and then I put a white layer behind them so that in the end he's got his normal white eyes. Which thankfully, most of our shots he doesn't move in, so that's quite easily fixed. And that's when we are going to the next bit in the script, so that's why I'm going to turn back to Jesse.
Alright, so the next line of the script, and the very first part of the segment is basically an overview of how the raid works. This is where our style gets a little bit more military style. Antorus the Burning Throne stands at the Legion's final major stronghold, and within its endless halls crawl hundreds of thousands of demons.
So, first thing Jesse asked for is Antorus the Burning Throne. Cinematic panning shot of Antorus. In brackets, maybe a shot from one of the trailers for Antorus, since it's hard to get a good angle from character perspective of a panning shot with Antorus. Good thing is that my main is actually a mage, and I discovered that there are quite a couple of high cliffs near the main entrance of Antorus, so I could jump up, use slow fall, and get some nice panning shots.
High Exarch Terrellion has laid out a rough path for you and the other heroes to cut through, a path that will lead us into the heart of the Dark Temple deep within Argus. It is there that we must rescue the Titans from Sargeras' grasp and prevent them from creating a new Dark Pantheon.
Now this next shot isn't going to make much sense just yet because it's not animated yet, but it's something we're working on for this episode. Just like basically like having the map pop in on screen, like as if the holocore itself projects it, and I'm sort of thinking of adding sort of a grid effect, like making it really digital and then popping in like this old school style map, but that's... So I've basically got like all the lines and the lasers things prepped right now for this shot, but the actual animation of them popping in and popping out, I haven't done that yet, so it's gives a little bit of a skewed image of what it's going to be, but trust me, I'm going to like it and you're going to like it as well.
The idea here, I'm going to jump in here, Jeff, the idea here is that the Light Forged and the Lost Codex are kind of working together. Maybe through burning Legion prisoners, maybe through stolen artifacts, stuff like that. Maps of Antorus have been discovered and have been uploaded into this device. So we're going to actually, this is where the military style comes in that I said earlier. Throughout the episode, we're actually going to be pretty much walking everyone through the raid on the map, and there's going to be a line kind of being followed and popping in where each of the bosses are, and showing the kind of route. And I know that the raid, this is a challenge that I had to face. I've found while writing the script is, what do you do when the raid is, the direction of the raid is up to the player? Well, I had to kind of look at it from like a logical perspective. So you defeat Gorothi Worldbreaker, then you can do Hounds, Antoran High Command, Portal Keeper, or Eonar. What makes sense? And so Ladis has actually been a huge asset on this episode in just kind of theory crafting with me back and forth on, okay, if we were in the Army of the Light, if we were Lightforged generals, we were fighting alongside Terrellion and everyone, what would be the best attack plan? And why would we go a certain direction? So we defeat the Gorothi Worldbreaker. Who's next? Well, the layer of the two Hounds is right there, and we do know that there's a whole bunch of bodies leading to there as well. So the last thing we want is those guys sneaking up on us when we're getting someone else. So let's take those guys out first. Well, then who's next? Are we going to go save Eonar? If we go save Eonar, who's not to say that Portal Keeper Hazabel won't call in reinforcements behind, or then Terran High Command won't call in more ships. So my logic is Portal Keeper first, take out the Nexus, then move on to Antoran High Command, then deal with Eonar.
So yeah, the final line I've got prepared a little bit is this one. It is here that we must rescue the Titans from Sargeras' grasp and prevent him from creating a new Dark Pantheon, which I have prepared in the shots of the in-game cinematic you get at one point where Agramar visits the... What are they called again? The Council or the...
The Coven.
The Coven. The Coven of Tortury... Six-armed ladies thing.
That's exactly what they're called. The very first line is, because the front gates of Antorus are heavily guarded and protected, we'll be blasting an entrance beneath the armory. And that's a shot of the Vindicar blowing open a hole into Antorus. From there, you'll scale the ramparts alongside High Exarch Turalian and join him in securing a staging point, while the Vindicar and the Lightforged forces hold the Legion's attention. So this first line... The instructions are showing an inside shot of the raid where Turalian and friends are standing, right at the beginning, maybe briefly showing a flying cinematic of the Vindicar. We've got a lot of Vindicar shots to show. Really? So what I'm thinking, Jeff, is...
I think there's two?
We've got two of those, and then we also have the... I was thinking like the golden transition one. I'm not sure if that one flies. Yeah, does that not fly?
It's hovering. And yeah, but you basically see it hovering in the air for like a couple of seconds, then it goes to fade to black.
Okay.
The rest of the shots, there may be some shots in the trailers, but an idea. Okay, this just came to mind. In Antoran Wastes, when you're looking at the Vindicar, when you're on the ground and you're looking at the Vindicar, yes. The Legion's attacking the Vindicar, so you actually see the Vindicar shields up as Infernals rain down on it. Okay.
So if you can get a shot from maybe a cliffside, and because Antoran Wastes and Antorus the Rage share the same backdrop, the same sky drop, it could look like it's actually a shot from inside there. So when we say the Vindicar and the Lightforged force the Legion's attention, that can be the shot, and the opening shot would be basically the NPCs at the beginning of the raid, High Exarch Turalian and all Lightforged forces run in, take a couple screenshots or video footage, and then we can quickly cut to the Vindicar taking a couple Infernals to the face. So the next line is, according to Illidari, the colossal Fell Reaver to the area. The monstrosity that guards this part of Antorus is similar to the same machines that patrol the wastes, except this one is far bigger. My instructions are, show the Garothi World Breaker either in model form or an in-game shot. There are several trailers that Blizzard put out that I'm going to try and locate. They put them out on their Twitter and hopefully their actual website, where they show cinematic shots of the bosses. If we can use those, great. If you have any footage of your own of the Breaker, great. If not, we'll use the model. We're going to briefly cut to a shot of one of the Fell Reavers in Crow. So that's actually, the big red one that patrols back and forth?
Yep.
Before cutting back to the World Breaker and showing how huge he is. So we want to show how big the red one is, and then we want to show how much more bigger the World Breaker is. Moving on to the next one. Yeah. This is where the map shot comes back into place. So the idea we're going to be doing, guys, is every time we come to a spot where there's a boss, Jeff's going to plug in a little animated visual, whether it's going to be a little runic icon with the boss's face, or we haven't really decided. But basically, we're going to show much more clearly, not with these little skull icons that Blizzard puts in, but something a little bit more interactive, something a little bit visually present.
So you've got like the map, and I'm planning to like have the lasers like do the edges of the little islands, color those in, then glitch in the rest of the map, and then you want to like show a thin line of laser or something, like projecting the path of the raid onto the map. Is that what you're aiming at?
If you can, yeah. Basically, the idea of what path they would take, they would follow.
Yeah, I can do that. That's no problem. That's
okay.
I can basically draw a line, turn that into a laser. That's no problem at all.
So with the map shot, beyond the World Breaker, a bridge will take you further into the fortress. We're going to draw like a little line going down to the fortress. Beyond and down the ridge, you'll find a path leading to two demons who've harassed our forces in the Antoran Wastes for some time. So this is obviously the bit on the Hounds. After the loss of his personal Fellstalker, Gormaw, the Dark Titan set to reshaping and molding his pets, infusing them with shadow and fire. Like all of Sargeras' twisted creations, these monsters must be put down. So we actually did an episode on Gormaw. We didn't have any specific, so I think we used a random TCG Fellstalker.
Yeah, I think I remember that. That's one of the rogue daggers, wasn't it?
Yes, that was. I find that the Hound bosses almost resemble not the Fell Hounds, but the Fell Stalkers, the more the Legion Collector's Edition mount. You know that one?
So yeah,
they've got like a longer snout. They look like Fell more closer to the to the two Antorus bosses than the other one. So you could actually probably use those base models. And I have in the instructions, can show some artwork of Gormaw. We use generic Fell Hunter for that episode on the Holocore. Before shadow and fiery effects warp/slam into two demonic hounds and rewarp them into the bosses. Jeff, you have this really cool effect where you take something and you kind of give it a shapeless mass and it becomes something else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the thing I did on the Eridar with the crystal and then sword. It turns into a weapon. Yeah, that one.
You've done that for a lot of things, and I think we can kind of do the same thing if we generic Hellstalker, long snouts, cover one and set one on fire, set one on shadow, if that makes sense, and then warp them into their appropriate bosses. That was my idea for that final shot. Next line is back to the shot, and we basically draw a map away from the Hounds. The script says, you'll need to draw your force back up the way you came from the bridge and push north. From there, you'll press on to sever the Legion's control over their vast portal network. So this is just a bridge shot.
All right, so it's the same
or map shot.
The same map, but like more centered towards the little castle icon thing.
Exactly, and actually, at the end of this shot, you can spawn in Hazabel's icon or whatever. What I was thinking is because she is the portal master, feel free to use her actual little icon as a portal if you want. Like, all right, cool. Next line is Portal Keeper Hazabel oversees the Arcane Nexus and has the ability to tear open portals to every world the Legion has conquered. And then I write shots of her room, maybe animate in the portals. You said you had those to 3 planets she opens. We'll pull in some of the mobs that she has in her fight. I don't really know what she calls from Zoroth, but she calls in some spider dudes, and I assume a Dreadlord.
Why can't we use Jaina?
I wrote not Jaina on the script for anyone who can't see it on screen.
I just showed it on screen because, yeah.
Perfect.
Aww.
The last line is, killing her will cut off the Legion from calling on reinforcements. Killing her evens the playing field dramatically. Be swift and be merciless, heroes. And my director's instructions are closing these portals with a magical effect and the 3 demons dissipating. So whatever 3 mobs you use, before Hazabel and her room dissipate, I wrote in brackets, maybe her whole shot is like a portal and closes into nothing to symbolize what the heroes must do. So again, going back to using her portal fantasy of her whole kit and using that to close off her scene.
I'm thinking, like, you know how we use like the yellow outline for the whole holocore right now? Got like this yellow laser outline to like give us a frame. I'm wondering if for her shot to like change that to like the magic purple thing, or like to signify it's that, oh look, it's an actual portal now. And then when we defeat her, it like actually the portal collapses, takes her with it, and takes all the 3 mobs with it as well, and then like push like whoosh up into a magic poof. and then the holocore basically like restarts and like draws its own frame again. Yeah, so maybe like we've got the normal frame and then like a smaller frame inside that to like symbolize the portal. I'll see what I can do about that.
Next part is, once the Legion portal nexus is disabled, you and your forces will move to high-ranking general. Embedded into a cliffside seats the Antoran High Command, triumvirate 3 Eridar military leaders. Map shops show their route to Antoran High Command. According to Prophet Velen, and we're going to show a shot of Makari, like pre-corruption, these leaders once governed and marshaled the armies of the Eridar prior to Sargeras' arrival on Argus.
Yeah, did we get a shot of Hypnos without the Prophet and his kid?
We did. So if we can show that.
Okay, done.
See, the Hypnos to the rescue. We'll show a shot of Makar destruction with runic frames and the busts of 3 non-corrupted Eridar. I'm basically going to have to make the 3 bosses in non-corrupted form. Yeah, I'll get you those models. Position them in a way that leaves rooms for Sargeras' visage to appear in the middle, which will translate to the next scene. So we want to have Sargeras kind of appear in like a ghostly state right in the middle.
So the ghostly visions of Sargeras. You're thinking about like the smoky thing we've used before, or like actual Sargeras from one of Hypnos' later pieces? I'm thinking about the one actually where he looks over his shoulder and looks at Archimonde and Kil'jaeden. I don't know if you can remember that one.
We can show that one. I was actually thinking of Sargeras' Titan model.
Oh,
because that's how he appears to the Eridar, and when he corrupts Archimonde and Kil'jaeden, he appears as a Titan. So show that in his non-corrupted form to kind of mirror the non-corrupted Argus.
Yeah, gotcha.
And the next shot is going to be corrupted Sargeras.
Oh yeah, now in Service of the Legion, it's like Sargeras goes all fiery and
Sargeras transitions as the previous shot. Only it's not going to be Titan Sargeras. It's going to be Fel Sargeras. It's just going to be his face. They show, however, and it's going to be very brief. It's going to be very small, very faint, but it's going to be enough that there's Sargeras right in the middle. And in the Makari shot previous, the 3 bosses are going to be around him. We're going to have the around him shots kind of creating like this arc around him, or however you want to position it. You can choose. It could be an arc, it could be a pyramid, whatever. Sargeras in the middle. Transition to the Fel shot. Sargeras is there, and he's going to fade, and where he was is going to be the projected holograms of Legion ships. Wireform, bleep, flicker out. Models, bleep, flicker out. Supplies, cannons, bleep, flicker out. Next line is, if both the Nexus, Portal Nexus, and the High Command falls, Legion's grip on Antorus loosens, their forces fall into chaos, allowing the Army of the Light to reinforce our hold on our invasion point. This is going to be another map shot of the whole first area that you've edited. All 4 boss icons, Garothi, Hounds, Portal, and High Command, faded out. Show the whole area edited, your edited map with boss icons.
Yeah.
And that is going to show several Army of the Light icons popping in. So you could just show some generic Lightforge runes come in. 1 male, 1 female icon. We could pop in Terralion, basically showing that we've secured this part of Antorus. Thank you for tuning in to this portion of the director's call for the Antorus episode. What you've seen today is only a small portion of what's to come, so stay tuned for more. We'll be releasing a behind-the-scenes look of the animation stage for the final scenes of the video after the Antorus episode itself is released. Keep an eye out on our Twitter page for episode updates, upcoming projects, as well as a link to our newly updated Patreon. Our Patreon tiers have been reworked with new rewards and more ways for us to give back to you as a thank you for supporting us. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.